Assalamu alaikum to everybody. This is lecture number 6, and it's about the roles of a teacher. Indeed, it's a very important lecture because it will tell you about different roles of a teacher. So let's start. Of course, we all know that in every kind of teaching, teacher's role is very, very important. And especially when we talk about language teaching, and of course, we are talking about English language teaching. So teacher's role is something that is vitally important. Teacher plays different roles in the classroom. And if you talk about teacher, what is a teacher? So we may have different definitions from different perspectives. For example, dictionaries give a variety of messages about teaching. According to Cambridge International Dictionary of English, teaching teaching means to give knowledge or to instruct or train. Whereas the Longman Dictionary of Contemporary English suggests that it means to show somebody how to do something or to change somebody's ideas. So, of course, here we are talking about teachers. So, teachers' role especially. So, teacher has to play different roles in the language classroom. With the classroom, teacher's role may change from one activity to another. यानी कि teacher की का जो role है वो activities to activity change होता रहता है. और फ्रॉम वन स्टेज ऑफ एन एक्टिविटी टू अनदर और बाज औकात एक स्टेज ऑफ एक्टिविटी से दूसरे स्टेज ऑफ एक्टिविटी में उसका रोल चेंज होता है सो if teachers are fluent at making these changes their effectiveness as teachers is greatly enhanced of course अगर टीचर इन चीज़ों में बहुत फ्लुएंट है और बहुत ज़बरदस्त तरीके से और अच्छे अंदाज में चेंजेस को करता है so this is something very very effective and it is something that also improves the effectiveness of his teaching. Now, let's talk about different roles of a teacher. So if we talk about different roles of a teacher, so we can find teachers play a role of controller as well in the classroom. Teachers work is or teacher, play a role of controller. When within the classroom, teacher's role may change from one activity to another. This is what we have just mentioned. कि क्लासरूम के अंदर टीचर की जो रोल है वो एक एक्टिविटी से दूसरी एक्टिविटी में तब्दील हो सकता है और फ्रॉम वन स्टेज ऑफ एन एक्टिविटी टू अनदर if teachers are fluent at making these changes their effectiveness as teachers is something that greatly improved. Definitely we know that teachers play or teachers are also facilitator. They facilitate their students, especially at university level. Teachers are facilitator. They facilitate their students, and their students definitely try to explore new things and learn from those things. These all roles which I will tell you today in this particular session, all these roles aim to facilitate the students' progress in some way or other. And so it is useful to adopt more precise terms than facilitator, as the selections below definitely you will find here. So let's talk about first of all, teachers as controllers. So when teachers act as controllers, they are in charge of the class and of the activity taking place in a way that is substantially different from a situation where students are working on their own in groups. So when they act as controllers, so they are in charge of the class. वो class जब as a controller ये act करते हैं, जब यानी as a controller role play करते हैं, so they are in charge of the class. Class के in charge बन जाते हैं उस activity में that is taking place in a way that is substantially different from a situation जो कि situation से काफी different होती है. जो किसी ग्रुप को दी जाती है. सो कंट्रोलर्स टेक द रोल. कंट्रोलर्स क्या करते हैं? दे टेक द रोल, टेल स्टूडेंट्स थिंग्स, ऑर्गेनाइज ड्रिल्स. रिमेंबर, कंट्रोलर्स टेक द रोल, ये रोल को लेते हैं. टेल स्टूडेंट्स थिंग्स, स्टूडेंट्स को बताते हैं क्या करना है क्या नहीं करना है. ऑर्गेनाइज ड्रिल्स, ड्रिलिंग्स जो प्रैक्टिसेस होती है वो ऑर्गेनाइज करते हैं. रीड अलाउड एंड इन वेरियस अदर वेज एग्जाम्पलीफाई द क्वालिटीज, और बहुत से दूसरे तरीकों से क्वालिटीज जो होती है उनको exemplify करते हैं of teacher fronted classroom. So this is how they control their students. They play a role of controller. Teachers who view their job as the transmission of knowledge from themselves to their students are usually very comfortable with the image of themselves as controllers. Most people can remember teachers from their past. बहुत से लोगों को अभी भी अपने माजी के टीचर्स याद होंगे who had a gift for just such a kind of instruction and who inspired their students through their knowledge and their charisma. यानी कि जिन जिन जिनकी जो इंस्पिरेशन और जिनकी बातों से काफी लोग मुतासिर हुआ करते थे. सो नॉट ऑल टीचर्स possess this ability. और ये जो चीज़ है ये भी है ज़रूरी है कि तमाम टीचर्स के अंदर ये खासियत होगी. ऑफ कोर्स not all the teachers or not all teachers possess this ability to inspire, and in less charismatic hands transmission teaching appears to have less obvious advantages. So this is something that is not, this is something that does not, that all the teachers do not have, or this is something that definitely not many teachers have, this kind of quality. Definitely, there are times when acting as a controller makes sense, such as when announcements need to be made. कुछ ऐसे times होते हैं जब it makes sense that you should control, or you should act as a controller. For example, when announcements need to be made, when order has to be restored, when explanations are given, or when the teacher is leading a question and answer session. ये कुछ ऐसे situations हैं जिनमें teacher को controller का रोल प्ले करना होता है. जैसे अनाउंसमेंट वगैरह में करनी हो तो तब ये ऑर्डर हैज टू बी रिस्टोर, कोई ऑर्डर है उसको रिस्टोर करवाना हो, या एक्सप्लेनेशंस देनी हो, या टीचर इज लीडिंग अ क्वेश्चन एंड सेशन आंसर सेशन क्वेश्चन, टीचर जो है वो क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन को लीड कर रहा हो. तो इन तमाम केसेस में क्या होता है, इन तमाम सिचुएशंस में क्या होता है, टीचर प्ले अ रोल ऑफ कंट्रोलर. So this is definitely the most common teacher role in many, you can say, context, educational context. And it also happens that many teachers, some fail to go beyond it, is controlling is the role they are used to and are most comfortable with. So sometimes many teachers fail to go beyond this role. Why? Because they they think that controlling is the role they are used to and most comfortable with. तो वो बाज़ औक़ात से थोड़ा सा मतलब इसको सही मानों में अदा भी नहीं कर पाते. And yet this is a pity, because by sticking to one mode of behavior we deny ourselves and the students many other possibilities and modes of learning which are good not only for learning itself but also for students' enjoyment of that learning. So with the passage of time, we need to change our roles. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम हर वक्त controller ही बने रहें. So we have to bring changes in our role so that we can make our teaching effective. So teachers play a role of controller as well. Then second, that I have realized and I have found from different sources, teachers as organizers. Teacher also play a role of organizer. So this is one of the most important roles that teachers have to perform. And this role is to organize students to do various activities. Teachers do what? They organize students to perform various many different activities. And this is something that often involves giving the students information. So इसमें क्या क्या चीजें शामिल हो जाती है? They give students information, tell students how they are going to do the activity. इन students को information देते हैं, वो students को बताते हैं कि किस तरह से आपने activity करनी है. Putting them into pairs or groups, और उनको pairs या group में डाल देते हैं. And finally closing things down when it is time to stop, और जब time पूरा हो जाता है तो वो close down भी करते हैं. So these are the different ways through which they organize. They play a role of organizer. So this is it is very important for teachers to get this role right. It is very important for teachers to play this role accurately when it is required. जब इसकी जरूरत हो तो तब वो इस रोल को सही तरह से प्ले करें. This is very important. If the students do not understand what they are supposed to do, when so if the students do not understand what they are supposed to do, they may well not get full advantage from an activity. This is very important to remember कि अगर स्टूडेंट को समझ में नहीं आता जो आप मतलब ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं, और तो डेफिनेटली they will not be able to get full advantage from that particular activity. That is why if teachers do not explain clearly the ways pairs or groups should be organized, for example, chaos can ensue or there may be chaos. So if teachers have not spent some time engaging the students' interest and making it sure their participation, so the activity can be vested as well. So all these things need what a proper way of organize, a proper in a proper way teachers have to organize their students. So that's why it is said that instead of just doing something because the teacher says, so they are prepared, hopefully with some enthusiasm for an activity whose purpose they understand. एक मरतबा स्टूडेंट अगर तैयार हो जाए, यानी कि once they are ready for the activity, we the teachers definitely want to give necessary instructions. Instructions means what students should do first, and then you know next. तो एक दफा स्टूडेंट तैयार हो जाते हैं तो उसके बाद उनको मुख्तलिफ किस्म की इंस्ट्रक्शंस दी जाती हैं. So once the students are ready for the activity, the teachers can give them necessary instructions like what they should do first, and then. So it is frequently a good idea to get students to give the instruction back in English or in their own language. तो इसमें जरूरी नहीं क्या teacher जो वो mother क्या target language में दे. If students are not getting the teachers, अगर student teachers को नहीं समझ पाए तो उस सूरत में they can also give their instructions in their mother tongue as well. Finally, teachers stop the activity when students finish, or when students have finished, or when there are other factors which show the teacher and the student that it is time to stop. For example, when the time is up, so teachers stop the activity, and it can be because they are bored. Sometimes it happens that teachers feel that students are getting bored, or because some pairs or groups have already finished before the others. Teachers should think about content feedback just as much as they concern themselves with the use of language forms in form and use feedback. So the latter is concerned with their class as assessor. So teachers play a role of organizer. Now the third one is teachers as assessor. Now this is something very important. it is something that has been observed a lot, that students expect from the teacher that they will assess their performance. So one of the things that students expect from their teacher is an indication of whether or not they are getting their English right, whether or not they are performing their activities in a proper manner, or they are speaking correctly or not. So this is where teachers have to perform a role as an assessor, offering feedback and correction, and grading students in different ways. Students need to know how and for what they are being assessed. So students need to know how and for what they are being assessed. Students को मालूम होना चाहिए कि वो किस कैसे और किस चीज़ के लिए ये assessment हो रही है. They Teacher should tell them what they are looking for and what success looks like, so they can measure themselves against this. So this is also very important. For example, this has been taken from the practice of English language teaching. इसमें एक मिसाल दी गई है कि teachers might say, for example, in today's piece of writing, I will be looking especially at punctuation, or in this communication activity, I'm more interested in your fluency than your accuracy. We might so students once again, teacher might say, for example, in today's piece of writing, I'll be looking especially at punctuation, or in this communication activity, I'm more interested. I am taking more interest, or I'm more interested in your fluency than your accuracy. So students then have a clear idea. Students को एक clear idea हो जाएगा कि what they need to concentrate on. यानी कि या अगर उनकी writing पर के बारे में assessment हो रही, तो वो writing को concentrate करेंगे, और अगर उनकी spoken और communication skills पर focus किया जा रहा है, so they will definitely concentrate on that skill. So definitely there is another very important thing or that need to be considered, and that is called fairness. When students are criticized or score poor grades, they find that other students have suffered less criticism for an equally good or bad performance. So they, you know, tend to be extremely unhappy. बाज़ का ऐसा भी होता है कि they try to compare themselves with others. So in this regard, they feel a little bit unhappy because they want credit for good performance and constructive criticism for poor performance. वो असल में जब उनकी गलत जजमेंट वो फील करते हैं व्हेन दे आर बीइंग अनफेयरली जज, सो दे वांट डेफिनेटली कंस्ट्रक्टिव क्रिटिसिज्म फॉर पोर परफॉर्मेंस, एंड दे वांट अप्रिसिएशन फॉर गुड परफॉर्मेंस, और जब कोई मिस जजमेंट हो जाती है तो उसे वो फील करते हैं. So that is why teachers teacher also play a very important role as an assessor. Then we can also see that teachers also play a role of prompters. Prompt करते हैं students को, क्या करते हैं, prompt करते हैं. Sometimes when students are involved in a role play activity, When they are involved in a role play activity, they lose, for example, they lose the thread of what is going on, or they are lost for words, यानी कि वो कोई एक्टिविटी परफॉर्म कर रहे हैं तो अचानक वो भूल जाते हैं, या उनके पास अल्फाज बोलने को नहीं होते, सो दे में रोल प्ले एक्टिविटी हो गया, दे आर प्लेइंग एनी ग्रुप एक्टिविटी और एनी सच एक्टिविटी, so they forget what to do next, or they are lost for words. So they are lost for words. They don't know how to proceed further. मतलब अल्फाज या उनके पास नहीं होते, या तो वो अगला जो स्टेज होता है वो भूल जाते हैं, तो दे forget, or they don't know how to proceed further. So what should teachers do in these circumstances? So teachers should hold back and let students work out for themselves. टीचर क्या करता है, उसको होल्ड बैक करता है और कोशिश ये करता है कि स्टूडेंट जो है खुद ही इस चीज़ को करे, या कोई छोटा सा वो उनको क्लू दे देता है या कुछ थोड़ी सी हेल्प कर देता है, और कोशिश यही करता है कि स्टूडेंट इसको आगे लेकर खुद ही चले. Instead, teacher definitely should hold back, or he holds teacher hold back and let students work out for themselves, or instead nudge them forward in a discreet and supportive way. कुछ उनको हेल्प कर देता है छोटी सी, जिससे स्टूडेंट्स कंटिन्यू करते हैं. सो इफ टीचर्स ऑप्ट फॉर द लेटर, अगर टीचर बाद वाले को ऑप्ट करते हैं, उसको चूज करते हैं, नज करते हैं उनको, नज देम फॉरवर्ड, सो दिस इज कॉल्ड अडॉप्टिंग सम काइंड ऑफ प्रमोटिंग रोल. तो ये कहलाता है प्रमोटिंग रोल, यानी कि वो प्रॉम्प्ट कर रहे हैं स्टूडेंट्स को. So in such situations, teachers want to help, but they do not want at that stage to take charge, because they are very much fond of encouraging their students to think creatively rather than their have them hang on every word. तो कोशिश टीचर्स की यही होती है कि वो स्टूडेंट्स को थोड़ी सी हेल्प दे के, छोटी सी हेल्प दे के आगे बढ़ाएं, और ज़्यादा हेल्प, ज़्यादा मेहनत स्टूडेंट खुद ही करे. अगर टीचर ही सब उनको बता देगा तो फ़ायदा कुछ नहीं है. तो कोशिश यही टीचर्स की होती है कि वो थोड़ी सी उनको सपोर्ट करें, एंड दे देन शुड कंटिन्यू फ्रॉम वेयर दे discontinued. So this is what is called prompter. This is the way a prompter, a teacher plays the role of prompter. So this is how teachers occasionally offer words. Teacher words provide करता है, phrases provide करता है, suggest that the student say something. मिसाल कहीं अगर आपको लग रहा है कि स्टूडेंट विल मिस कर रहा है, तो वो आपने विल बोल दिया, विल. कहीं आपको लग रहा है कि वोकैबुलरी में उसको फूड समझ जहन में नहीं आया, तो आपने कहा फूड, गुड फूड. इस तरह से आपने टीचर जो है उसको मुख्तलिफ किस्म के लुक में दे रहा होता है, जिससे वो आगे बढ़ता है. Even sometime what should he speak in the next stage, or like this can also be done in definitely mother tongue as well. Target language के अलावा मदर टंग में भी ये हो सकता है, and students can convert it into his target language himself or herself. After this, teacher's role as participant. It is also a very important role for teacher. So sometimes teachers also play a role of participant. Of course, there are times when teachers might want, or they may want to join in an activity, not as a teacher, but as a participant in their own right. So the traditional picture of teachers during students discussion, role play, or group decision making activities. There are activities like role play or group decision making activities. So the traditional picture of teachers during students discussion is of people who stand back from the activity, letting the learners get on with it and only intervening later to offer feedback और करेक्ट देयर मिस्टेक्स. तो ये ट्रेडिशनल अप्रोच है जिसमें टीचर पीछे से स्टूडेंट्स को लिख में दे रहा होता है या बता रहा होता है जहाँ वो फंसता है और इस तरह से उसकी हेल्प कर रहा होता है. बट देर आर ऑल्सो टाइम्स वेन टीचर्स may want to join in an activity not as a teacher. लेकिन कुछ ऐसे कभी ऐसा भी होता है कि टीचर जो है एज अ पार्टिसिपेंट उस एक्टिविटी को ज्वाइन कर लेता है और उसमें वो खुद भी पार्टिसिपेंट बन जाता है. सो देर आर गुड रीजंस why they want to take part in a discussion. So definitely this is again a very good technique that teacher uses. For example, they can enliven things from the inside instead of always having to promote prompt or organize from outside the groups. तो कभी वो ग्रुप के अंदर भी शामिल होकर चीज़ों को काफ़ी इनलिवन कर देते हैं एंड they create a kind of energy in the discussion. So when this kind of thing goes well, students enjoy having the teacher with them. And for the teacher, participating is often more instantly enjoyable than acting as a resource. So this is something that students also enjoy. लेकिन इसमें खतरा है. द डेंजर ऑफ टीचर्स एज पार्टिसिपेंट इज डेफिनेटली दैट टीचर्स कैन इजीली डोमिनेट द प्रोसीडिंग्स. तो इसमें ये होता है कि टीचर पर ज़्यादा वक्त ले लेता है एंड ऑफ कोर्स द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट टाइम मैनेजमेंट. सो टीचर शुड स्पीक लेस and students should speak more, then there will be more advantage and there will be more benefit for students. So teachers should try to minimize their talk time, and they should try to provide this time to their students. So they should provide as much time as possible to students so that they can speak more and more and they can improve their language skills. Spoken English language, spoken skills, or even for writing skills, sorry. Teacher also play a role of observers. Observe. Teachers sometimes want to observe what their students do, especially in oral communicative activities, so that they can give them useful group and individual feedback. So they observe. So when observing students, teachers should be very careful not to be too intrusive by hanging on their every word. You know कि हर word में उनको disturb करना शुरू कर दे, उनको interrupt करना शुरू कर दे, or by getting too close to them, or by officiously writing things down all the time. So these are the things which should be taken special care with. These things should be avoided. Above all, teachers should avoid drawing attention to themselves is to do these things, so may well distract them from the task they are involved in. टीचर्स को कोशिश ये करनी चाहिए कि इस तरह की चीज़ें ना करें. अगर करेंगे तो उससे क्या होगा, स्टूडेंट्स की जो तवज्जो है वो बटेगी and they will be, their attention will be distracted again and again. So teachers should not be a teacher should play a role of observer, but the teacher should not do these things frequently or very often. So it is often very important when taking notes on students performance, when teachers taking notes on students performance, either as a whole class or for individual students, to have columns not only for what students get wrong but also what they do or perform right, either in their use of actual language or in their use of conversational strategies. So teachers जो note down कर रहे होते हैं, notes बना रहे होते हैं, so this is also very important. So observing for success often gives us or gives teachers a different feel for how well their students are doing. So this is again a very interesting way of uh, interesting role. In this way, teachers learn, or they come to know, or they realize what their student doing and how they're doing. When teachers are acting as controllers, giving feedback or organizing students, they need to be observing at the same time too. They need to be observed. They need to observe at the same time as well. Constantly, they need to alert to the effect their actions are having. They're trying to tease out feelings and reactions in the classroom. They should be able to work and observe simultaneously, listening, watching, and absorbing, so that they can create the best kind of rapport between themselves and their students. So they should be a very good observer. It is often useful when teachers taking notes on students' performance to have columns not only for what students get wrong, but also what do right they right, what do they do right. तो कॉलम बना लें और उसमें लिखे लिखें कि क्या चीज़ इन्होंने सही की और क्या चीज़ इन्होंने गलत की, तो दोनों की कॉलम्स बना लें। ऐसा ना हो कि सिर्फ गलत जो चीज़ उनसे उनसे गलत हुई है तो उसी की कॉलम बना ली, और जो चीज़ उन्होंने सही की उसको मेंशन ही नहीं किया। सो इफ़ दे आर ऑब्जर्विंग, सो दे शुड ऑब्जर्व बोथ देयर good things and their of course those things which are not good. So this is what we have. uh, in the end, we can say that a language teacher has to play many different roles in the classroom. It's never easy, and it's very interesting indeed, because when we teach English, when we teach a language, of course I'm talking about English language, so we have a kind of a classroom in which we have different mind sitting in the room. And this English language teaching is different from government, from schools, colleges, and universities, to English language centers. If we teach English language center at if we teach English language at English language centers, so our approach is different. And if we teach English language at school, colleges, or universities, so our approach is different. So in both places our approach is different because of different types of students, levels of students, because of different background knowledge, students with different background knowledge, and because of different places in schools, colleges, and universities, things are different, because over there students have to study many other subjects. But in English language centers, students have to study only one subject, and that is English language. So their targets are different in both places. But one thing is saying that in schools, colleges, universities, English is also taught as a compulsory subject, or as a compulsory subject. English language is indeed taught, and in English language institutes, private English language institutes, only English language is focused. फिर उसमें ये भी होता है कि schools, colleges and universities में जो इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज पढ़ाई जाती है उस पर ज़्यादातर फोकस जो होता है वो रिटन राइटिंग एंड रीडिंग पर होता है, जबकि लैंग्वेज सेंटर्स में जो है, इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज सेंटर्स में जो फोकस होता है वो स्पोकन एंड listening skills is पर होता है. Speaking and listening skills, they both are focused over there. In a language classroom means here English language teaching, ELT, in ELT context, and in private English language centers. If there are 25 students, or if we are talking about even schools, colleges, universities where English language is taught, if there are 25 students, so it means that there are 25 different minds, and they all may have different backgrounds, competence, and level of understanding. So teachers' role depend on the kind of activities which they give to their students, situations, and the level of students they teach. So if you have any questions, you can ask me in the class. So if anyone has any problem regarding so that student can ask me question in the class or in the next session. With this, thank you very much. This is a very important lecture, and I hope you all must, enjoy this lecture, and definitely you will have questions regarding the role of teachers, roles of a teacher, right? Remember, all these things are very important for English language instructors or teachers. If you want to teach English language, by using literature or any kind of stuff, especially literature, so you must know about your roles. You must know what different roles teacher normally pay play in a language classroom. Thank you very much.